sponsored by Riverside.
That ended abruptly.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that this time around, but I actually didn't even hear any of that. I just listening, watching you, along with the music, so that's how I knew. Yeah. So thank you all for joining us here on the Spyshack Podcast, the Challenge Edition. For the last time for this particular season, it's been a little bit more sporadic. So hopefully we can tighten it up for the next time. But and that's the plan, is to go ahead and be a little bit more professional, a little bit more, try to see what we can do to make sure we can get a little bit more fan interaction. And so first of all, everyone help me in saying hi to my co-host Ruth. How you doing today?
I am great. I am so full, but I'm happy to be here. Happy to wrap this up. We started this like in what? July, August?
Like 20 weeks ago or something like that. Yeah. Well, it was like 20 episodes, so I would say like probably like 15 weeks ago, 16 weeks ago. Because I believe there's only 1 week. Well, no, because we missed some
we
weeks,
missed a couple, and then I was sick last week.
17
I
weeks.
still sound a little sickly.
Not as bad as you were before, though.
No.
So yeah, we would have tried doing this last week. It would have been bad. First of all, because we were upset because Texas lost, and then you were already barely being able to talk. So
yeah.
So before we actually jump into this episode, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the season overall? And be honest.
I don't want to say I was disappointed. I will say I was like, the people that made it to the final and made it to the end weren't anybody that I thought that were actually, other than Jordan and Bananas. Like, I guess the people I wanted to see make it to the end, like CT or Casey. It was just a really random, I think, group to make it to the end. Overall, like we talked about, like the season started off a little slow.
There were just way too many players.
There was a lot of disappointment with like the challenges. Like some of them were like, really, that's what you're gonna do? Or the elimination challenge, like what they had to do for eliminations was kind of like weak. But I mean, I'm not saying I'm never watching it again, because that's a lie. I'll be watching All Stars now that it's gonna be on MTV. But it was definitely not one of my favorite seasons.
Well, that means that All Stars did well enough on Paramount, right? For it to move over to MTV, I think.
That, or they just couldn't get a challenge in place. Yeah, to release.
Well, were they doing the challenge on Paramount at the same time they were doing regular challenge seasons?
No.
So
All Stars always aired on Paramount, like when one challenge would end, because they'd be promoting it like they're doing now, like on the commercials. Like that would be the next thing to watch, but you had to go to Paramount. And so I guess now. So
for a while, then they stopped doing back to back to back to back like they had been previously. So now they're going back to that again.
Although I really don't know what the difference is now. Because if you look at the All Stars, like there's people that are doing All Stars and Anissa.
Yeah. Well, because now they're the challenge, right? Now the rivals now.
Yes. There is somebody else like Nani. Like, I mean, anybody that was in Era 2 or 1 is now on All Stars. But there is, I feel like, I can't remember, but in the commercial there is somebody that I saw that like hasn't been around that long, and they're on All Stars, and I was like, really? Like these people have already made it to All Stars.
So what I did like when they started doing the Paramount seasons was like the Challenge USA, the challenge, all the different the regions that the USA brought in a lot of people from different reality shows, Amazing Race, Survivor, and stuff like that. That I believe that's when Michelle actually started before, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah,
I know that a couple of winners of Survivor ended up being on the first season of Challenge USA, and one of the winners actually ended up winning the Challenge USA. So I'm not sure if she never didn't want to come back, or they just, I don't know. She was entertaining enough for me to see her again, but I don't know what happened, why she didn't come back. But anyways, I guess let's just jump into this season. I'll say this about the season. While I did enjoy it, it did drag. That's been kind of the thing that kind of made me not want to watch it while I was going to school. It's because it's a long haul, and then they do this with a finale where they break it up. Although other shows have done it too, but then they also do the reunion as a broken up in 2 weeks. So it's kind of hard to like really get into it, because then all of a sudden either you watch it together or you wait all week for it to happen.
Yeah, you have to be a super fan to continue watching it.
Well, yeah,
I'm like used to it by now, but
yeah, and I did tell when because we started the Traders one, I said we're gonna do the finale for the challenge and keep us up, because we're probably gonna do the other one too, but I'm not sure yet. We'll talk about it later. And I said, the way I am about Survivor, I think my sister-in-law is about the challenge, and so yeah, even bad seasons are better than no seasons. So that's what I've said about.
So, I'm glad I had it to watch for the last 20 weeks.
So yeah, let's jump into the finale, and we're gonna just talk about it in general. We're not gonna have to go. We don't have to do it in order.
I mean, all it was swimming.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was drowning and I wasn't even there, because if you all don't know, I don't know how to swim. I actually sink to the floor. I do. So yeah, I was looking online what people thought about the structure of the finale.
Yeah.
What did you think of how this was structured? And did you think it was a good thing or a bad thing for not only for the show, but for this particular finale?
I guess it was the first final that I've seen, and I've watched like the last 30 seasons, where it was all swimming. Like, you didn't have to run a mile, you didn't have to hike a mountain. There also was no eating involved, or like a memory sort of game, like you had to like recap something. But it's just like, I mean, I think the structure was fine, like going and coming, like that is usual. I think it was just so different to see it like the swimming, and it's like it was a big disadvantage for those who couldn't swim. But like it kind of got not boring, but like you already knew who was going to be first and second, because the strong swimmers are going to be strong swimmers and they're going to be able to have the endurance to do that. So yeah, that's why Jordan was number one the entire time, and Jenny and Michelle were able to keep going back and forth.
Michelle took on one spot. She was started in third, and then came in first the first round, and then in like the third or fourth one, she started it in third again, and she ended up in first again.
Yeah. So if you didn't know how to, so thankfully, if Cara had been in this final, if she had beat Tori in the elimination, like there's no way Cara would have placed at all, because poor Kylan.
I did like I did like Johnny saying like, this is how it feels to swim like what's his name, Jordan, when they had that little assistant. Yeah,
I did not like that. I feel like that made it less anticipating, because I don't know if I never used one. It didn't look like you could control the speed or anything. Obviously there's a technique to using it, and some are using it better than others, but like usually if it's tight, like people are like running to the finish line, or you can easily pass somebody up. Or if they didn't have those, like people would have been battling like swimming, like Jenny and Michelle or whoever were like, you know what I mean? But on that, it was like so anticlimactic. Like they're just on the robot thingies and they're just like in the water. It's just like,
the good thing was only for one.
You could have used that in the beginning of the final maybe, and then like on the second day they had to actually swim. That would have made it interesting or something. And like, you know what I mean? Like using that for the last leg was just stupid in my opinion.
I think my favorite part was the only part that was different was the overnight thing where you had to count the coins, because it was a torture. First of all, the song would have tortured me right away, but the whole thing of keeping them awake, having them to go do that, then come back and count. We saw Jenny really break down from it. I think, and she did really well, even though she broke down, right?
Yeah.
And what's her name, Tori, who forced herself to stay awake for the longest, did the worst, I believe.
Yeah.
So that is the one part, my favorite part of this whole thing, and it was just, I guess it's just because I'm seeing them suffer or whatever. Um,
The
it
math
was
was kind of funny. The math equations battling one on one when
oh
they had to
yeah.
go to the island.
So I know TJ said it was nice of you for Bananas to for letting her win. Because it did kind of seem like he did, but when I saw him do the other ones, I'm like, yeah, he was just really slow at the math.
Yeah.
I doubt he would ever let anybody get a heads up on him, no matter who it is. But if
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't for that, Michelle ended up what, in third.
Yeah.
She would have ended up in probably fourth if she would have. I don't remember the points. Did they even say what the points were?
They did. They showed the points and then they showed the karma vote and then they showed the final. So for the men, nothing had changed. And then for the women, that juggled, that brought Rachel from
Rachel.
third to first, which a lot of people were upset. The little that I got to see on social media, that if they were going to tie first place, then they should have put, because there's no second place winner, so they should have put Michelle as second and Tori as third, and then they all would have gotten something.
Yeah, but I mean, like in like other sports, when they have a tie, they do eliminate that number.
The
So I
two,
guess that's why they were doing. Yeah.
I don't
So,
know.
so I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the karma votes? Because I think it was anticlimactic what ended up happening.
What I would have wanted to see. Can you hear my heater?
That's fine. You
Okay.
can't. It's not loud.
Okay. I'm like, it sounds loud. What I would have wanted to see was the actual count of the karma votes. Because what
Mm-hmm.
they did, I paused the screen to try to like figure out the math because I was like, only 2 people voted for them. It didn't make sense. But so there was, because how they were giving 1 through 4 the points for like first place, second place. So it was on a point system. So whoever had the most karma points got 8. So it was 8, 6, 4, and then 2.
Mm.
So, or no, it was still 1, 2, 3, 4, but it was
Yeah.
counted twice. So when they showed it on the screen, it was 8, 4, 6, and 2. So I would have wanted to see, I mean, you could see who had the most and who had the least based on how many points they got for the karma vote. But I would have wanted to see, like, Jordan had 6 people vote for him. Like, Derek obviously had the most points because he won the thing, but that still didn't make him have more points than it overall for him to win first. I would have wanted to see how many actual points they had and not just where they landed on first through fourth for the karma points. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but even then, I think I would have liked the karma point system come back to where actual karma. Whereas if you got the worst one, you got some sort of penalty during the finale
Yeah.
changes, or you got to help if you got the most. That way, at least, like let's say Derek who won the men's, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would have gotten a heads up on some of the challenges, maybe helping him catch up and beat Jordan, or
Yeah.
in this case, Rachel, um, which I think the only reason why she needed the help was the swimming, right? Because of the swimming. I don't
Yeah,
remember
well,
how.
because I think Michelle and Jenny were just much better swimmers. But even
Mm-hmm,
Rachel kept saying, like, the women were making it back to the boat or making it to the stations before the men, which
mm-hmm,
was factual. Like, I know for sure the one where they had to go under the boat, like, all the girls were already on their way back to the boat and there were still some men
mm-hmm.
over there. And that happened several times.
So yeah. So as far as that, I think it would have been better. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just think it should have been played a little bit better. And I think
Yeah.
the overall season itself would have been better served if they changed the way they use the carnival. I don't mind the carnival. I know like Johnny was and all that were like really upset as far as like this is really unfair when it comes to the people you've already voted out because part of the thing is part of the challenge, right, is pissing people off by making them leave.
Yeah.
But now you're giving them a chance to really come back at you, which in a way other shows do kind of have something similar, but that's why you know that in advance, because that way you work on them, knowing that you're gonna need them to help you out at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as the result of the finale, I mean, um, Jordan won because well he does everything so well, but his swimming really just got him so much leeway and everything, right? So I don't. Do you see any other way that keeping the same challenges, keeping the same things? Do you see anyone else beating Jordan in this finale?
If there was running involved, if they had to run from your station,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Derek did pretty well with the swimming. That's why he got second. Like, Derek would have made Jordan, because Derek is a runner. So, like, he would have
Mm-hmm.
given him a run for his money, no pun intended. But he would have definitely, like, I feel like it would have been tighter, or maybe Derek would have had a couple of more of the first place things for the leg of the race. And Kylan can run as well. Like, didn't they lap when they were in the sand and they had that puzzle? Like, Kylan and
Mm-hmm.
Derek both lapped Bananas. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Bananas got there first, but all these guys were able to lap him in the running. And who knows, Bananas probably would have gotten fourth if all those young guys were going to have to outrun him.
Yeah. Um, anyone else that you think would have actually done better because of, let's say, without all the running? I would think Rachel would have done better without the swimming, right?
Tori,
Tori, uh-huh.
she would have maybe got actual money or actually placed, because Michelle's not a runner.
No.
Like, Michelle
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have the endurance for that. So there would have definitely been a lot of changes if there was more things on land. And that's because a lot of people train for the endurance, like on the treadmills and the running, like not the OGs, because there's more like the seasoned people know on a final, like, you're gonna have to run like all these miles or go or hike and all this stuff. So I think they all train. I don't think anybody trained for swimming.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're not expecting it on the challenge.
Yeah.
So this season, in all, did have a couple of controversies.
Mm-hmm.
One we talked about in length was the one with Horacio. Horacio's actually back in doing the old show he was on
Mm-hmm.
Telemundo, which I think I told you all, my mom doesn't really like him, but only because he's on the opposite team that she usually cheers for. Um, and I'm guessing he's not going to be back on the challenge anytime soon. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe they might reach out to him if MTV actually sees the how mad people were that he lost the way he
I,
lost.
I don't think it's a matter of MTV reaching out to him. It's him accepting to be on the show.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if people, I guess, let MTV know enough that they were really upset, they might still reach out to them, and they might have to like do something to really have him come back.
MTV, if you're listening, I'm upset at Horacio and the way CT left. That was the dumbest challenge ever.
Well, that's what we're talking about, right? That's what some of the, I think that is really some of the controversy of this season, is that there were some really lame eliminations, and then the ones that they had awesome eliminations. Sometimes the players that were in that were like, really. That one specifically is the one that upset me, because I feel like CT, this big guy, could have done so well on any other challenge, and you have them doing that stupid hammer challenge.
The Mario, not I
Um,
call it the Mario Kart one. I mean, I'm glad
oh, yeah,
that
oh,
Bananas had won, but when they were just
mm-hmm.
driving in
Driving around
circles and
circles,
go karts or four wheelers, like, seriously, like, it's
and
the challenge 40. That's what we're doing.
exactly, and from what I understand, that one of the segments actually took a long time for them to actually finish up. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the other controversies was what we talked about last time, was with Jenny's puzzle not being right, where it was
Oh
facing the wrong
yeah.
way, and people actually were pointing it out to her on social media, and she actually just said, "I don't care. I still deserve to be in the final." Because well, who was the one that had the was it Tori that had the no, it was Cara that had the penalty. So what she says is that she actually finished because Cara had a 3-minute penalty. She was about 5 minutes ahead of her. So she goes, if production would have told me, I would have just gone and flipped it over. That's it. No controversy. But the whole time, production never told her that it was wrong. No one ever brought it up, so it never came into play. Which I can believe. I think it did seem like she was a good amount of time ahead of last place there.
I don't know. These people have to play against production as well now. I mean, I feel like it probably has always been that way, but I guess I was never woke to it as much as I was this season. I was like, oh my god.
Because you're looking at it. Well, you're looking at it from the standpoint of your favorite people were getting screwed.
Yeah.
So, like I think I had said it before, it really depends on how the gameplay is set up. If it's a part of the rules, is it an actual contest, or is it a reality TV show? And this is the last time I'll ever bring up another show, one of the other shows here. One of the rules in Survivor is that the rules can change at any time. So yeah, if something's not going the way that the producer wants it to go, they can just go in there and change the rules. So if this is the same thing here in the challenge, then technically yes, you can do that, but it should not affect, or at least for us viewing audience, it should not affect the perception of it being fair, as fair as it can, because some of these shows are not fair.
What I don't understand is why, like, I get stuff has to happen behind the scenes, and like they're talking to production about if they have questions or something like off the camera. But the rules that production is giving them, I just don't understand why TJ doesn't also say the same rules, because the whole thing with the missing peg on the Horacio thing, it's like, well, the producers told them that this and this counted or whatever, and it's just like, why don't they just disclaimer, like, give everybody the rules, and it's probably for that reason, like then they can't change it, or but they still could, like it's called editing, like worst editing ever this season. But
that's another thing that people were saying, is that this was really badly edited. We talked about it a couple times, where we noticed very, very easily where it was not in the right order. Tabitha, my wife, noticed it. The one episode she saw, she noticed a couple of times where it was like that it was bad editing. I'm like, yeah, we've been talking about it every week almost, and the what's it called, on the show. So I guess it was something that they need to work on, and I don't know if it's just something because they change editors or whatever. Something has to change.
They got their B something has to up in the doing stuff.
That might have happened because remember, I don't know if this was during the, well, I don't know. This shouldn't have been affected by the strike of the writers, because there's no writers in this other than the people figuring out the challenges and all that. So there should not have been any writer in this. I don't know what would have caused that.
It reminds me of the Hunger Games, like the people watching the writers of the game. What are they going to do? What are they going to do this week? We got to change this because they want somebody else to win, so they make it into their favor. I don't know. It's crazy. But then you have to remember, like me, that I'm so like sucked into this. I've drank the juice for this show, where it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like it's a TV show. It's not real. It's a reality TV show.
But the thing is that they hook us in, right?
Yes, and like you follow them on Instagram, so you were like, you think it's actually real.
So like my mom is actually like us. My mom was into that show. It's called Exlaton. I can't really say it. And she will actually she's in a group for the show. She actually go to Facebook jail because she defends some of the people on there.
Dang.
So yeah.
I would get kicked off of social media if I had the time to get in these conversations with these people. I read the comment sections and I'm like, girl, please. Ay.
I have some notes that I wanted to talk about. I think we already discussed it. Fans' reactions were mixed as far as the karma vote. I said what I would have really wanted. I just felt it was underwhelming at the very end. Well, it didn't
Yeah.
really do much on the men's side. It kind of, like, I guess it kind of did what it was supposed to do with Rachel and all that, but then it caused that tie. And I just feel like even with the tie, I think there should have been another way to break it to whether it's a first and second place.
Do like sudden death or
Um,
something? I don't know.
yeah, I mean something easy, or just say we're gonna go by how many rounds you won or whatever, and
Yeah.
that's the number one place.
Yeah.
Um,
But it also worked out that Jenny and Rachel were in an alliance the entire game. Well, not the entire game, but when it went individual. So they were both happy to share it with each other. I mean, that's how they portrayed it
mm-hmm.
on the TV. So
At least they said it
it'd
in
be one
the
thing if
post.
it was like Jenny and Michelle had to share it because they didn't really like care for each other.
Yeah.
So I could see it becoming a bigger thing if it was like two rivals that won, or not necessarily rivals, but two people that weren't working together to win.
Well, let's see. Was there any female that was really up against Michelle or?
Jenny.
Yeah, but were they really like fighting? They didn't like each
No,
other, but were they like fight? Yeah, there's nobody like let's say
they weren't.
she had let's say well let's say like the guys and the girls were all mixed together, right? And there was no matter if you're a guy or girl, how you were finish, and then all of a sudden it's Johnny and Michelle trying to finish for one place, and then you would want them to do like, all right, now let's finish it off for one final challenge here.
Yeah. The thing that with the Jenny and Michelle thing that happened was because for Era 4, Michelle kept throwing in Jenny in because she was the only one that wasn't part of their vacation alliance that was in Era 4. And so Jenny was just like upset because Michelle was like the ringleader of who was getting sent in, and they kept sending her in over and over and over again. And they kept telling Jenny, like, it's not personal. It's just like, you're not friends with us. Like,
It's not
socially.
personal, but you're not
Yeah.
personal with this.
Right. You didn't go on vacation with us. And then once the whole
Yeah.
Angels thing started, it was just kind of like Bananas Angels didn't like Michelle's. Or not that they didn't like her, but it just, they weren't playing the same game, or they weren't playing together. So
I'm just gonna say that like this season, I did not like Michelle's and her alliance the way she played. I've said
no.
it before. I like her. I even kind of defended her when she won in Survivor, but still, I just didn't like the way she portrayed herself in this particular season, and I don't know why she allowed
Yeah.
herself to get portrayed in that way. So I don't know.
Unless it's her, part of her, what's the word? Not skill, strategy. Like, because she killed it in the final. Like, because it was swimming and stuff, but like the whole time trying to say she's a lady of leisure and doesn't like all this stuff. And it's just like, and then she goes out and like performs well. It's like, I don't know if that was her strategy to make it to the final. I don't know. I don't
So
know.
I mean, I think that kind of wraps up the season for us. So there's not a lot more to talk about. Even like the segments themselves, I mean, they were different, but they were not too far apart from each other. Just swimming, go do your little thing, come back. Jordan wins. There's not really much. Now, cast members are appearing in other shows. Bananas just finished not too long ago with House of Villains. I don't know if you know what that is on Paramount.
I've seen commercials.
Where they just get the most notorious villains of reality TV show. He didn't win, but I won't say who did. But I shouldn't have said that part. But
can we get it on live and on YouTube for you to say that you would sign me into your Paramount account to watch Traitors?
It's already on there.
I don't remember you telling me that. You're saying you said that in the last episode?
Yep.
I'm gonna actually go watch one of our episodes and
hopefully we were still recording.
Oh yeah, you see, you didn't say it.
Hopefully we were still recording. I did say it though, because I even told Tabitha.
Well, we know she never listened, so she can't.
That's true.
She can't defend you. We
also,
can talk about her all we want. She doesn't watch this either.
Also, returning from his self exile from the challenge, well, a reality TV show, Wes also appeared in House of Villains in the
Oh.
second season, I believe. And now he's appearing on The Traitors, which my Traitor co-host, they didn't know who Wes was until House of Villains. And they're like, we like him, even though he's a kind of an a-hole, but we do like him. And I'll tell you this, he is shaking up some stuff, but he is living up to what I said about him. I actually like him on The Traitors. I've never liked him on the challenge. So far on The Traitors, he sounds like if he would just not be so cocky and not be so arrogant, that I actually would like him on the challenge as well, because he's actually entertaining.
I've always, like, depending on the season, I feel like there was a time when like Wes and Bananas had the feud. I was usually on Team Wes, and then like I grew to like Bananas, and then Wes started annoying me. So depending on the season, but I did like Wes. I think he's from Real World Austin. I might be wrong, but Real World Austin was my favorite like Real World season. Are you gonna fact check me? Oh, I thought you were like on your other computer, like looking it up. I want to say he was from Austin, and so the season from Austin, and that was one of my favorite Real World seasons. So I've always had a thing for Wes, but there's times where I was just like, oh my god, this guy's annoying. Like now I know why Bananas doesn't like him.
So I lied earlier about not bringing up Survivor anymore, but Wes.
Well, I know I didn't believe you.
Wes wants to be on Survivor so bad, and people didn't believe me when I would tell him that. He is a super fan of Survivor, even though he might not admit it, but you can tell. He actually on House of Villains. My other co-host on The Traitors told me that on House of Villains, he came in with his own version of immunity idols from Survivor, because I guess they use like different things from the different shows, so that he can fake his way to not get voted out. So and then like as soon as he comes in on The Traitors, you'll see he is like enamored by the Survivor players, and he's always talking about Survivor, even though he's talking trash about Survivor on Twitter, X, whatever. I'm always gonna call it Twitter. He really wants to be on the show because he always says he wants to be on the show, even though he's talking trash about it. And then fans usually clap back at him, saying you wouldn't survive on Survivor because on the challenge, at least, yeah, you do a little bit more grueling challenges, but you're eating there and you're sleeping normally in normal beds. You're not in the jungle.
They did have what's the name of it? They did have a season of the challenge. What's the name of it? I watch it on Pluto all the time. It's always on, where they didn't have the best accommodations, and they did have to like go get their own food and a little taste of Survivor. Like they were always having to go get their own fish, or like in order to.
They didn't have to eat coconut.
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't have to eat coconut for like 30 days.
Well, they did. That's what they had. Like they didn't have like what they have now. Like if they won, they would get like a box dropped off or whatever by the plane, and they'd have to go be able to eat whatever they had. But I mean, I've only seen one season recently with you on Survivor. That one that I got hooked on when we were watching Survivor, Amazing Race, and Traitors.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So are we going to commit to the rivals and the All-Stars, or do you want to take a little so we can reboot here and then come back with the mainline challenge?
Yeah, let's regroup. Let's take a break, because when you texted me
another
today,
20 weeks.
When you texted me today about this, I was like, "Oh crap, I forgot." It's like I gotta go.
It's a grueling. Yep. All right then. So we'll leave it there. We're gonna go ahead and see what we can do to regroup. We are going to be doing the Traitors. I do have actually my Nerd from the Crypt podcast is going to be coming back here soon. I have another podcast that's going to be coming out called Our Latin Roots. We're still trying to figure out how we're going to do that. My friend and I, Jake Leinhart, who actually did my theme song for the Nerds from the Crypt podcast, we're going to be interviewing Latin creators, artists, musicians, actors, whatever, and highlighting their work and stuff. So that's what we've actually talked about doing that for about 6-7 years. So we're finally going to do that. We're going to be doing that as well. But I guess we'll let you all know when that goes on. Want to say thank you all for joining us. For the ones that have actually been keeping our number 7. We've had a little bit more than that. But thank you all for joining us. And for this season, thank you so much. And let us know what you thought, what we can do to do better. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna regroup for the challenge, and hopefully not another 2 or 20 weeks to try and figure that out. But thank you all for joining us here, and we'll see you all in the next mainline series of the challenge.
Bye.